Hey y'all, welcome back. My name is Myra and I am the owner of Crafting by Myra, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be walking you through how I make my pencil composition notebook tumbler. I absolutely love this design. One of my customers had the brilliant idea of combining both designs into one, and this is just what I came up with, and it is definitely a fan favorite now, especially with my audience. So I cannot wait for you guys to see how we make this tumbler. If you have any feedback for me, please feel free to drop it below in the comments, and if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the comments as well, and I'll make sure to get back to you all. There will also be a lot of discount codes included in the description below, and that's where you're gonna find all the materials that I used to create this tumbler. I'm so excited to show you guys, and I hope you guys love it. So we're starting off with this tumbler that's already been sanded and wiped down with 91% alcohol. This happens to be the 35-ounce Skinny from Hog, or the Stainless Depot company. And what I'm gonna do from here is take my 1-inch masking tape, painter's tape, whatever, same difference, and I'm gonna put it around the top rim, and that's gonna be my eraser, and then I'm also gonna put it at the bottom, and that's gonna be the lead. I do mine the same width, so I use the tape for both. You don't have to. I find it easier, and I like them to be even. So don't feel like you have to do that. You can totally do this however you want. This is just my personal preference. Also, don't feel like everything I do you have to do. Definitely do whatever works for you. I tend to overcomplicate literally everything in my life, the process of which I make my tumblers as well. However, I enjoy the overcomplication, and I know that's weird to say. I just have my own methods that work for me. Also, I just want to point out the very obvious. I am not an expert YouTuber. I'm not doing this for the money and the fame. I'm really just doing this to help you guys who want to know how to make some of the designs that I create. So I wanted to create videos in one place where everybody could go. I'm not about Facebook Live. I'm not about Instagram Live. So this is just the place where everybody can come to watch my videos. I'm so sorry that they're not perfect. I'm not perfect. They're not going to be perfect or A1. So that's why you see other cups that I was currently working on. But this is just my way of showing you guys how I create these designs. But I felt like I just had to be 100% transparent. Like, I'm not a videographer. I don't have my place set up ready to record. I just move around so much, so that just doesn't really work for me. All right, so what you see me doing here is putting electrical tape right underneath the lead, and you really don't need to do this. I just do this because I'm messy. So instead of just leaving a space on that stainless steel part when I apply the gold glitter that's going to act as the wooded part of my pencil, I get too messy. So that's why I do it this way. That's why you see me kind of doing this overlay with my stencil vinyl. It's supposed to be, that black and gray is supposed to be the gold. So I like it a little bit wider or thicker, whatever you want to call it. You could also just cut out your stencil a little wider. I just already have this stencil, and it's just easier for me to do it this way. All right, as you can see, it did not meet all the way around. I don't care. I just take some more of that blue painter's tape and cut off a couple pieces and make those two ends meet at the middle. This does mean that it will not be even all the way around. I don't really care. Nobody really cares. Unless you care, then you can try to figure out the exact measurement of it. I know there's templates out there. I just don't have time for that. This is just what works for me, and that's what we're gonna do here. So once I've got all that set up, I'm gonna then add this green 1/4-inch tape. This is going to be the silver part of my pencil, the metallic part of the pencil. I don't have a tape that's the exact size that I like it, so we're gonna go around with this tape twice to create that width. So instead of being a 1/4 inch, it's gonna be a 1/2 inch. I don't have 1/2 inch tape anywhere. You could also use double-sided sticky tape and then just glitter that silver if you wanted to. But like I said, this is just what works for me, and this is what I'm gonna do. All right, and once you get that, just make sure that all of your tape from top to bottom is meeting. So when you bring it back around, if it's not meeting, it's not really straight, and that will bother me and it'll bother you. I know that my stencil vinyl for the gold part has bubbles. It doesn't matter. It's just a stencil. We're not going to glitter over that. We're going to peel it off. So don't stress out about that. All right, this is when I go and spray paint that middle part that's left black. You could also do white. It depends whichever one you care to do. You definitely want to do a color though, because you will see the stainless steel, because the chunky will not cover all of the cup. So I choose to do mostly black. Sometimes I do white, like if I'm out of the color black. I'm just using regular Rust-Oleum 2x flat black, and I'm gonna spray paint it, and then we'll be right back. All right, after your tumbler is completely dry, then you're going to want to take epoxy. I like to lay my chunky epoxy method. Mod Podge does not work for me when it comes to chunky. It just doesn't. If it works for you, then do you. I just took about, I think, 5 or 10 milliliters of epoxy, which is way too much just for this one cup. But that's just how much I had to mix. And we're gonna spread it only in the black part. If it gets onto the stencil, if it gets onto that green tape, it's okay, no big deal, because we're gonna be peeling it off before it cures. I probably used under 5 milliliters of epoxy, and I force it to cover the entire cup. I don't preheat it, I don't warm up my cup, I just literally dab it and force it to go all the way around. I make it work. And I'm using fast set because I make a lot of these, and it's just quicker to seal, it's quicker to flatten the chunky glitter with parchment paper. Everything's just easier for me this way. You can use regular epoxy if you want. It's just gonna take a while to dry, and with this chunky glitter, it's just the devil. Like, it can literally get everywhere. Just make sure you get in all the little curves and points of the pencil, because wherever you do not put epoxy when there needs to be, your chunky glitter will not lay there. All right, as soon as you've got the entire black base covered, I just rip my glove off and I begin to lay the chunky glitter down. This chunky composition notebook mix is from Mr. Nolas Glitter, and it's called Tucks, Tucks. And it is one of my favorite composition notebook mixes. I order this and Crew Juice off their website every single time I put in an order with them. I really like this mix because it has all 3 colors, the gray, the white, and the black. Composition notebooks and composition notebook pencils are my favorite. However, this glitter, as much as you try to get it off of you, it's like, it's never ending. You always find it in your fingers, everywhere. So I try to tap it as much as I can. However, realistically, it's gonna keep coming off. The excess is gonna keep coming off, I mean. And that's okay, that's fine. Once we seal it with Quick Coat by CCDIY, I promise you that thing is a lifesaver. Nothing's gonna fall off the cup anymore. There's gonna be literally no more excess. All right, so I couldn't find my parchment paper, so I'm just using wax paper. I'm gonna literally just roll it to flatten the chunky glitter. So I begin by rolling it, and then I wrap it, and then I kind of run both of my hands, literally massaging this cup so that all of the glitter, or most of the glitter, flattens, because realistically not all of it will flatten. And then here I'm just doing it again with a new sheet. I'm just gonna roll it and flatten it as much as I can. The glitter coming off of this cup is never ending. That is why you need to have a base, whether it's white or black, but you need to have one, so it's not so obvious. If you do have some missing in some areas, typically you won't though. All right, so now we begin taking off our stencil. You will need to reapply your stencil unless you're really good with lines and you can freehand it, do it. I have to reapply it with a brand new strip of stencil vinyl. And I'm also going to remove that green 1/2 inch line that we made, because I'm pretty sure I got epoxy on there. Most of the time, I end up taking all of the tapes off and then just reapplying them. However, some people may consider that to be way too tedious. That's totally fine. Whatever works for you is fine. Just make sure that you do actually take your stencils off, because just like with any other glitter, you don't want it to dry on there while the epoxy's curing, because it will cause your glitter to tear and pull when you pull off the tape, and that's not something you want to happen. All right, really quick, I'm just going to reapply all of my tapes everywhere. Right now, I don't have the eraser part, and that is okay. I only needed it to make sure that I got the width all the way around exactly how I wanted it. Right now, I'm only going to put this blue masking tape line, and I know that that's not where it goes, but it's because I'm gonna apply quick coat and then rip it off again and then reapply it again. And I know this is a lot of steps, so just bear with me. Before I apply my quick coat, I am going to just try to brush off as much excess as I can by lightly taking this brush and literally not even putting any pressure on it, just letting the brush slide down the cup to take off as much excess as I can. You don't want to be rough with this because you can literally take off chunks of glitter. And you don't want to do that. All right, and then after I've brushed off as much of that excess glitter as I possibly could, I'm not gonna put that glitter back into my reserve because it's already been mixed with epoxy. I'm gonna take this quick coat from CCDIY. It is a lifesaver for chunky glitters. It is a lifesaver. I'm gonna apply just a small amount to cover the entire cup. I have not found it necessary to do more than one coat of quick coat because I guess I'm a little bit on the heavier side on my first coat. However, if you forget about your stencil vinyl, if you just forget to remove something or you forget to flatten your chunky glitter, you're going to need more than one coat. If not, you're gonna have a bunch of prickly, chunky glitter all over your cup, and that just means you're gonna have to do so many more coats of epoxy. So save your epoxy, seal your glitter. I highly recommend this urethane sealer. Now at this point, I've let quick coat sit on this cup for about 25 minutes, so it is not completely dry. It usually takes anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour for me because I am heavy-handed with it. But before it's done drying, you need to come back and remove your stencil vinyl. If not, it's gonna get stuck underneath the sealer in the parts where you were too heavy-handed with your brush. So just make sure you come back before it's completely dry to take your stenciling off. Now that the stenciling's off, I'm gonna let this tumbler completely dry and then we'll come back. All right, quick coat has completely dried, and in a moment you're gonna see how literally all around the cup this chunky glitter is now flat. I'm gonna take my blue masking tape for the last time, I promise, and I'm gonna cover what should be my pink eraser in masking tape, and I'm gonna cover what should be the lead in masking tape, leaving that silver part for my glitter and leaving that part that should be gold so that I can glitter those parts first. For the gold part of this tumbler, I'm going to be using one of my favorite golds from Peachy Olive Glitters called Cleopatra, and I'll make sure to link it down below. And for the silver, we're going to be using Silver Starlight. It's a beautiful holographic glitter from CCDIY. I'll be sure to link this below as well with a discount code that you're more than welcome to use for your purchase. And in this step, I'm gonna apply Prime Time by CCDIY. It's a white base for the gold. I probably should have mixed it with like a tannish color, but it ends up working out because for my second coat of glitter, I don't end up using Prime Time because it is like white paint. So if you do that, you're basically just going to cover the glitter that's underneath. You want to make sure that if you are using Prime Time to apply glitter, that the second time you go in to apply a second coat, you are doing it with Mod Podge. For the silver part of my pencil tumbler, I accidentally ended up grabbing Prime Time. What I really wanted to grab is, I had another container with just Mod Podge, but whatever. I didn't really need a white base since it is silver on silver, but it ended up happening anyway, so I just left it like that. And the second coat, when I go back in, I'll just use regular Mod Podge. So now after the first coat of each color, I'm gonna tap off the excess, give it about 30 minutes to dry, and come back and apply a second coat of each of these colors, just using Mod Podge as you see me doing here. As soon as I apply the second coat of glitter, I'm going to peel off my masking tape. That way I don't forget. If you forget to do this step, it'll cause your glitter to pull off with the masking tape when you peel it off. I'm going to repeat the previous steps with the silver portion again and add a second layer. And I'm going to allow this tumbler to completely dry before I move on to the next colors. And before I do move on, I do brush off any excess around those lines so that when I do apply my new glitter colors, it doesn't get contaminated with other colors. So for the pink part of my pencil for the eraser, I needed a pink base. Usually what I like to do is mix CCDIY's white Prime Time with a little bit of their dispersion color. I'm using Poppin pink. You don't have to do this. You could also just use acrylic paint with Mod Podge, and that would work as a perfect base as well. Once I've mixed all of that really well, I begin applying it. And I'm gonna be using this beautiful pink glitter from My Star Creations. It is probably my most favorite pink glitter right now. It is called Because It's Wednesday. And every time I place an order with her, I make sure that I order at least 2 bags of these because I do use it on pretty much on most, if not all, of my pencils. I will also leave a link and code down below that you can use to save 10% off of your purchase with her. And I actually was going to take this part out of the video, but I really just wanted to show you guys how sparkly and beautiful this pink is. And this is just with 1 coat. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a second coat using Mod Podge as soon as this is dry. For the lead and black part of my pencil, I'm using Fete Jr. by Mr. Nolas Glitter. It is one of my favorite blacks as well. And for this part, I am also using the black Prime Time by CCDIY to act as my base. All right, now that my tumbler is dry and has had 2 coats of glitter for each color, I'm gonna take this Rust-Oleum 2x clear gloss spray, and I'm gonna use this as my sealer to make sure that my glitters don't run into each other. You want to make sure that you do shake this can really well before you begin spraying it, and that you are spraying in a well-ventilated area. I typically only do 1 coat, but it's a very heavy-handed coat as you can see, so I don't need to come back and seal it again, but you can always test it out by touching your cup once it's dry, and if you have glitter on your hands, you may need a second coat. My tumbler has now been epoxied with 2 layers. I just used CCDIY's medium viscosity. It is my favorite epoxy to use. I'm going to take these gold metallic strips that I've already just pre-cut because I make these so often. And I just cut these out myself on Design Space using my Cricut machine. I cut these 11.5 by 0.25, and you can cut them as wide as you'd like. This is just the size that I prefer. I'm going to continue laying all of these down to act as the outline for the what's supposed to be like the wooded part of my pencil. I'm gonna do the same with the silver metallic part of my pencil, and these are the same exact measurements as the gold. And for the actual composition notebook decal, I like to use Hayes Paper Co. sticker vinyl. They do offer vinyl both in matte and glossy. I do prefer the matte over the glossy, but that's just personal preference. I'll make sure to leave a link down below so you can shop with them directly through their website and also have a discount at checkout. And many people have asked me where I actually got this decal. I purchased this off Etsy about 3 years ago. I went back to try to get the link for you guys, but it looks like the shop is no longer there. So I would just try to see if you can find it on Etsy from someone else. So I'm so sorry, I don't have a link to this. I will say you want to make sure that this cup is completely smooth before you apply this decal because you will be able to see any bumps underneath it. But now it's ready to be epoxied, its final layers, and I'll be back to show you what it looks like. This is the final look of this tumbler. I absolutely love it. If you recreate this, feel free to tag me. I would love to see your recreation, and thank you guys so much for watching.